My name is Johanna Sigman. I am a professional photographer specializing in people and their pets. In 2007, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, you start out thinking, I'm going to beat this thing, and you're real strong, and then you really hit a wall. You start to really feel down, and I was feeling very depressed, and I started to realize that I needed some form of support, some form of positive sustenance to get me through this journey. And I knew it wasn't going to be traditional therapy. So I thought, well, if I could be around purring things, that would be a wonderful way of staying happy. And I remembered that there was this cat rescue not too far from where I was, just far enough to keep me motivated to be exercising. And I called them up to ask if it would be okay for me to come and pet the cats. And so I started walking down. That was part of my routine of staying in shape, of going down there, petting the cats, coming back. So I walked on down there and walked in, and I was hairless. I had a baseball cap. I think that was all I was wearing on my head at the time. I just walked around the room to greet each of the residents at the time. And I got to this cage, and there was this very large white cat, and her name was Pearl. So I started to reach down, and Pearl gave me that, you know, don't even think about coming clear. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I backed off from her. And above her, there was another cage, and it was a mom with some kittens. And I thought, okay, well, I'll play with the mom and the kittens. So I'm up with the family, I'm petting the mama and the kittens, and all of a sudden I feel this tapping on my shin. And I look down, and there's Pearl staring up at me with her big fat face. And I'm like, oh, now you want me to pet you. I said, now that I've got my attention elsewhere, you want me to pet you. So I said, okay. So I squat down, and Pearl's not having any of it. She puts her big fat white paw on my thigh and pushes down like, sit on the ground. So I do, and she crawls into my lap. So Pearl's in my lap, and she's purring, and I'm happy, and I'm petting her, and I suddenly become aware that it's gotten really quiet in the room. And I'm looking around trying to figure out what's different. And I turn over my shoulder, and all the volunteers and Kelly are in the back, and they're all kind of looking at me a little concerned and worried, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening. So one of them comes over and she goes, you know, Pearl doesn't like anybody. I'm like, oh. She said, so we're all a little shocked that she's sitting in your lap. But she was fine. She purred, and then when she'd had enough, she got up and left. And that was it. And everybody's like, they were so amazed. I don't know exactly what Pearl's rescue story was, but I do know that when she was brought into Santé d'Or, she was immensely angry and very violent. They had to wear protective gear just to change her litter box, to give her food, because she was just a terror. I don't know why she connected with me, but it was like a very special experience for me. And every time that I went in to visit, when I walked in the door, Pearl would come out of her cage and demand that I sit down, and she would crawl on me. This is so remarkable, all these years later. I was so moved to learn that she had died. She wasn't my cat. You know, she was this crazy cat who was very angry most of her life, and who was my introduction to Santé d'Or. So it was just, I was really surprised at how deeply I felt her passing. She was the embodiment of Santé d'Or, who does not throw away or kill any cat, no matter how difficult they are. That's it, you know, here, that is the exact, Pearl was the embodiment of the spirit of Santé d'Or. And here she was, this cranky old woman who was fat and mean, and she had a home.